Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast. I'm Liam, your host, and as always, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, wearing a ice hockey jersey after weeks of me convincing him to get one. Is of course everyone's favorite Eagles fan, Patrick. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. It's been 4 weeks since I've been on the pod, since the Super Bowl. I've turned into Mr. Hockey. So this is my Jack Hughes golden goal winning jersey from the Olympics. Yeah, I'm excited to be back.
We look forward to your hockey pod coming soon somewhere in the ether. Who knows? But yeah, cool. Well, it's been a while for Patrick, but we did an episode recently with Lee to talk about free agency, and we're going to follow up that today by talking more about free agency. We are recording at, get a time check, 6 o'clock UK time on Monday, the 9th of March, which is free agency legal tampering opening. Plenty of news to talk about. We're clearly not going to get through it all. We're going to do an episode today, hopefully do an episode Wednesday or Thursday, and then there'll be another one probably at the weekend or early next week where we kind of get anything we've missed, because we're not going to be able to touch on everything today. But we've done it a bit differently. Patrick, you have not looked at your phone for any news since, 2 o'clock probably, are we saying today?
Anything could happen now.
So I could tell you any news, and we're going to get your actual reactions to it, talk about some of the stories. There'll be some we whiz through, some we spend more time on. We'll record somewhere for 45 minutes to an hour, do a triple check of all my multiple screens as we go to see if there's any more breaking news, and then come back later in the week to talk about some more. But let's ease into it just quickly with a couple of things I know you already know about for the listeners that I want your opinion on. So Tua has officially been released by Miami, $99 million in dead money. Rashawn Gary has been traded from the Packers to the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick after it looked like he had got cut. Minkah Fitzpatrick's been traded for a 7th-round pick to the New York Jets, and he's also getting a 3-year, $40 million extension. So we've got Tua cut, we've got the Minkah trade, and we've got a Rashawn Gary trade. They're the ones I know you know about. Give me your quick thought on each one. And how much of an impact do you think this is going to have to next season?
Well, Tua, I mean, I had to smile to myself early because obviously it's a $99 million dead cap hit. And my first thought was, Drew's going to be the first $100 million dead cap hit if it's not Tua, who somebody's coming down the line. I tweeted about it earlier. I feel dead. The sad it ended up this way, to be honest with you. Obviously, I like Alabama and coming out of there. And he showed promise at times. Obviously, they had a high-powered offense, didn't they? But it just didn't work out. And his body kind of breaking down, and he's had concussions, and he seemed off-field kind of locker room issues last season. It was, I think, the thing the Dolphins had to do it now. The Minkah trade kind of goes along with that. I thought they might have got a little bit more than a 7th-round pick for Minkah Fitz. For someone that's going to go 3 years, $40 million, feels like you could get more than a 7th rounder. But maybe, well, they didn't. But the Dolphins are in full on. I mean, in a moment, you might tell me they've got a new quarterback. I have absolutely no idea. But I think playing for 2027, and let's get a new quarterback through the door with a top 5 pick. I think it's going to be quarterback heavy. We hope next season.
We hope, yeah. And Rashawn Gary, I think, is a pretty good trade, to be fair, for the Cowboys. They were going to cut him as well for the Packers. So I'd say to get a 4th-round pick is rare, because the guy literally tweeted 24 hours ago that he was cut. And now you've spent a 4th-round pick on him. So I think it's aggressive from the Cowboys. But I think Rashawn Gary's a good player. And I'm with you, actually.
They're collecting the Green Bay Packers defensive line before they had Micah Parsons, it seems, when they decided they needed Micah Parsons.
Spoken like a true Eagles fan. We love that. And yeah, Minkah, I'm with you. It's a very not strange, but it's slightly less than I thought. But they did have to pay him a good wedge as well. So maybe that's why. Let's stick with Miami then. We'll start with the news you don't know. And we'll stick to Tua. Not confirmed, but it looks like Tua is going to go to the Atlanta Falcons, and we're going to pair 2 lefty quarterbacks together with him and Michael Penix. Not confirmed, but all the rumors are pointing towards that. How would you feel if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan with your 2 quarterbacks being Michael Penix Jr. and Tua?
Is that a bit of nightmare fuel there? I think Tua could fit somewhere, maybe as a backup or a short-term starter alongside. I mean, Penix is. I feel like there's question marks, especially in Atlanta, over Penix, kind of 2 years in. Yeah, wow, 2 lefties. My God, that cannot have happened many times before on a roster. Yeah, I'm not sure what to tell you. I'm guessing it's going to be the veteran minimum, isn't it? Or so 1-point-something million.
Yeah, because obviously
to lose. Yeah,
he gets paid the same anyway, doesn't he?
So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's nothing to lose in that respect for Atlanta, but yeah, it's a strange one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a strange one. Come on then, let's talk about Let's talk about the new quarterback. Well, I should say Jalen Hurts, shouldn't I, just to wind you up? But I'm going to try and be honest, and maybe I'll put one fake one in there and see if you can guess which one it is. But Malik Willis is a Dolphin. 3 years, $67.5 million deal. So he's got over 22 per year. I haven't, because of the time when we're recording this, I haven't got all the guarantees. So bear with us on that. But yeah, new quarterback, Malik Willis is the Dolphins. So between Tua and him, I think they're paying something like 130 million this year for quarterbacks and cash.
Oh my God, what have I literally just said 2 minutes ago? You might tell me that they've got a new quarterback. Oh, I don't like that. I like it for Malik Willis. Good on him. He turned about 4 starts in Green Bay into a nice contract like that. Fair play to him. Doesn't, I don't know, mate, for Miami. Thought last night that Geno Smith's preferred destination would have been Miami, and I kind of would have preferred that on maybe a 1 or a 2 year deal, and then looking at getting your rookie next year. But I mean, it's a decent wedge, isn't it? If you want Malik Willis out next year, I'm not trying to fast forward anything, but it's that surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that is a little bit surprising.
Do you want to win or not?
Put Kyler Watch on for the Vikings for me, to be honest, But yeah, I did want to go with Malik first because A, I heard you say you'll be telling me they've got a new quarterback, and I was about to tell you that. And then B, the funniest bit of news I've had today is The Athletic forwarding me a post that says the Dolphins are getting a complete quarterback in Malik Willis. I'm not sure we know what the definition of complete quarterback is, but hopefully he does well. I argue think he is probably going to be better than Tua, but that's because I am very anti-Tua. I could see how fans would be annoyed and would rather just sign someone for $1 million and wait till next year, but the Dolphins are not doing that. Let's rattle through news then. Let's go with people signing for other people signing for new teams. What free agent main guys were you most interested in? Because we haven't spoken about this before it all started. Talk to the biggest guys, though, because only the biggest guys have really gone here. So,
wait, are the biggest guys gone? I'd say I'd go on the defensive line of obviously Jalen Phillips and then Trey Hendrickson if either of them have gone anywhere.
Yeah, so Trey Hendrickson not going anywhere yet. Apparently the Cowboys asked, but he's a bit expensive for the moment, so we'll see if his price comes down. But Jalen Phillips has signed somewhere, and he has not signed for the Philadelphia Eagles. He signed 4 years, 120 million.
Oh, that's what?
40 million a year for the Carolina Panthers.
Wow, that is a big deal.
Huge deal. And I haven't got more written down like I mentioned earlier, but the guarantees were big as well. So it's not a funny money type deal. So they projected him on The Athletic for 4 years 98. PFF projected him 4 years 96, and he got 4 years 120. Apparently the Eagles were right in it to the end, and then Carolina just came from nowhere and just absolutely killed everyone with the price. So yeah, Jalen Phillips is a Panther, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a good move for them, really. I mean, the money is huge. I know in the Eagles circles kind of from yesterday, they were looking at maybe just above 20 million per year. Yeah, seems a little bit too rich, to be honest, with the money they've got to pay out. Just pay Jordan Davis, got the Carter thing, not sure, the AJ Brown thing, not sure. So yeah, that is a big deal. Is that the biggest deal, as in money-wise, so far?
Well, that's a great question.
It must be.
There's one more. There is one more. I'm just checking to see if there's more, but no, there's no. I'm looking at defensive ends whilst there's no other defensive ends. But yeah, that is the biggest total money deal. That is the biggest, actually. Yeah, it's a good shout. But there is one that's coming quite close, and that is Tyler Linderbaum. He's officially your highest paid center. Creed Humphrey is currently 19 million per year, and the Las Vegas Raiders have decided to pay Tyler Linderbaum 27 million a year, making him the highest paid center in NFL history. He gets 3 years, 81 million. So he beats Creed Humphrey by 8 million per year, which is obscene. But the Raiders get a starting center for Mendoza, you'd think, probably coming up in the draft.
Yeah, I do know they're an incredible amount of cap space. So I mean, it's a big rise, isn't it, from number one, from number two? But yeah, I kind of love that for the Raiders. I think
that's good.
Yeah, I really hope that they can be competitive, to be honest. I mean, Kubiak is in there now. They're going to get Mendoza. So this is great. I mean, what more building block can you want than your starting centre now lockdown?
Yeah, true. I do think it's aggressive to go from the current highest being 19 and you're going all the way, you're going up 8 million all the way to 27. I think that is a bit aggressive, but that's because they're a bad team, not to be me. That is the only reason. Like, the good teams would have offered him 22, 23, and they've had to shoot over the top. But it is over 3 years, so they've not locked him in for 4 or 5 years, which I think is probably a smart decision.
Oh, for Linderbaum as well. I did read kind of yesterday. A lot of the Ravens fans were tweeting about stuff from their beat writers saying they are in there to re-sign him, but the feeling was he wanted to get the bag. So yeah, fair play to him. He's done that, hasn't he? And he's hopefully for him, he's part of a renaissance, and he's not just gone there for the cash.
Yeah, agreed. Well, they've got the extra picks from the Crosby trade, which we're going to talk about probably at the end once we've got through some of the breaking news. But yeah, that's huge. Let's move away from biggest deals just because we're talking about the position. Centers, I found this one interesting. Cade Mays is signed for the Detroit Lions, 3 years, $25 million to be their starting center. About $8 million more than most people were projecting. So Cade Mays gets a good deal. But obviously, they lose their left tackle. They cut him because they couldn't agree with him. They obviously lost their center earlier in the offseason because they cut him as well. Feels like a bit of a rebuilding year from the offensive line perspective. But Cade Mays was someone me and Lee spoke about, saying he was probably going to be underrated and would get more money. And I feel like that's quite a smart. When you look at what Linderbaum got, and then he gets 3 years, $25 million. Do you mean that's 3 times less than Linderbaum? I think that's quite a smart signing for the Lions, who've got loads of people to pay.
No, certainly not 3 times less of a player, is he, than Tyler Linderbaum? No. So yeah, it is especially when you got the left tackle position to be kind of filling up as well. So
yeah, interesting. Cool. Let's go other massive friends then. Let's see your reaction. We'll go for a boring one here. We've got someone returning. We like people changing. This player's returning. Alec Pierce is re-signing with the Colts.
Wow, I actually did not see that coming.
Neither did I. 4 years though, $116 million. He's the player, slightly less. So he gets $29 million a year, $84 million guaranteed. Absolute huge deal. So you've got Daniel Jones on the transition tag that we spoke about might happen in the last episode, but has now officially happened. And they've also re-signed Alec Pierce. So on offense, they were probably going to lose one, people thought. They've actually kept both. So yeah, what's your thoughts on it? Because $29 million a year for Alec Pierce is a lot. But I have got a follow-up. They've also traded Michael Pittman. I'll tell you where in a minute. But they traded Pittman, decided to keep Pierce, and they've kept Daniel Jones. Would you be happy with that as a Colts fan who's just traded away their 2 first-round picks? What's going on there?
I like Pittman, to be honest with you. This is it's not the first time Alec Pierce ever shown anything. It's the first time he's been a real game breaker, wasn't he? He was only over 20 yards a catch this season. They had a great rapport, to be honest, with Jones, and they think they can bring that back, right, and have success with it, and maybe just replace Pittman with someone from the draft or maybe a cheaper free agent. So yeah, I could sell myself on it. But I do really like Michael Pittman.
Yeah, me too. He was getting paid a lot of money, though. And he's been traded for a pick swap as well, 6- and 7-round pick swap, that's it. To the Pittsburgh Steelers. You now have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr., and they've given him, I think, a 3-year, $76 million deal. So they've also extended Michael Pittman. So they haven't got a quarterback, but they've got their 2 wide receivers going forward. I quite like that for the Steelers. I think they're very similar players in terms of down the field threats, but DK's only got 2 years left really of guaranteed money. But yeah, to get him for a pick swap, I think smart. But for the Colts, I think if you're going to pay Pittman, you probably couldn't keep. Sorry, if you're going to pay Pierce, you probably couldn't keep Pittman. They've decided to trade him to the Steelers.
Yeah, I love that for Pittsburgh, actually. They were desperate. I think when we came down to the kind of nitty-gritty at the end of last season, they were a weapon down, weren't they? To be honest with you, relying heavily catching out the backfield. So it was, interesting. That is, I like that for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was. 3-year, $59 million deal. Sorry, so yeah, it's even slightly cheaper, which puts them in a good position. Come on then. What about the man that we watched in your living room win the Super Bowl, MVP? Kenneth Walker has a new team.
Somewhere?
He has a new team. He signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with the greatest franchise in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
So I've got a new running back to support.
Wow, that's a shocker. That I saw a couple of teams in on him. A Chief that is an exciting move, isn't it? That's an exciting free agency move.
That is actually the largest. So 3 years, 45. He's not the highest paid running back in total, but that is the largest free agency contract given to a running back ever. All the others like CMC, Derrick Henry were extensions. Yeah, he comes in slightly under those guys, but yeah, gets 3 years, $45 million deal, but only $28 million guaranteed. So after 2 years, he's they can decide to get rid of him. But yeah, exciting, big move for my Chiefs, which is exciting.
Yeah, big move. That's no Jeremiah Love then, I was going to presume on that.
You'd like to hope not. Yeah, let's not do that with the Chiefs. Speaking of Chiefs players, the Rams have obviously traded for one Chiefs corner. I don't know if you saw this, but he also became the highest paid corner in the NFL. Trent
Absolutely.
McDuffie, 4 years, 124 million with 100 guaranteed. However, they decided not to stop there. They wanted even more Kansas City players. They also signed Jalen Watson today for 3 years, 51 million guaranteed. And now they've got both Chiefs corners from last year under the roster as their starting outside corners. So kind of summarize your overall thoughts on, because we haven't spoken about this on the pod, but the McDuffie trade, which was, a first round pick and 4 other picks. Then they paid in the highest deal ever for a corner with the most guarantees. And now they've also just signed his running mate on a 3 year, 51 million, 34 million guaranteed to fix their secondary. But they've spent 134 million guaranteed money on one position in 24 hours.
Yeah, that is rich. That is rich spending. Probably right now. You know me, I don't look at the betting markets. I'm not seeing the rest of the free agency. For me, the Rams are likely to be the Super Bowl favourites right now, I'm guessing. Big area that we spoke about, didn't we, in the playoffs? You could attack the outside. I really like the trade for the Chiefs. By the way, obviously, we've not spoke about it at all. I like what the Chiefs got back for that, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's the back end of the first round, but there's other picks in there. And I quite like it. I'd rather have more picks than less picks when you're coming into the draft, So I really likes that. But that's a big deal for Watson. That is a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, 17 per year when he was a 7th round pick, earning 1.1 million last year. Like, that's a huge contract for him. And I think he's really the only major corner. I think Michael Carter re-signed with the Eagles on a tiny deal, but there's no other corners gone, and he went within 30 minutes. So they were clearly keen to bring him in. What other big free agents we got then that we want to tell you about? What about the other running back, Travis Etienne?
Is he gone?
He's just signed whilst we've been recording on the pod. Let me check the number because is that real number? Yeah, it's aggressive. Okay, he signed 4 years, 52 million, so less than Kenneth Walker per year, but he gets 4 years with the New Orleans Saints.
Wow, really?
To spend all that money on a running back, and then I think Garafolo tweeted, "Now the watch for Alvin Kamara trade begins." So moving on from Kamara, and they've gone for Etienne. Not a team I would have guessed to them.
No, because he was heavily rumored Chiefs, wasn't he, for a while? You'd know more than me about that, but that has surprised me. Alvin Kamara he's been due for a fresh start since we've started this podcast. So that would be that'd be great. That is an interesting move for both parties there. That surprised me, that move. We get a Kamara trade fairly soon.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, could be. The team I was going to mention here was the ETN teams. I was never sure Walker would go to the Chiefs, but obviously he has. But ETN was linked to the Chiefs and the Broncos. I wonder now, with both those running backs, the Broncos trade for Alvin Kamara. Do you know what I mean? Sean Payton connection. That'd be one of the ones I think would be most likely, but we'll see. Let's go for another one that I was surprised at, but I put it into a group chat and everyone replied like, yeah, that makes sense. And I just couldn't believe it. So I need to get your reaction. $20 million a year for Wan'Dale Robinson. 4-year deal, Tennessee Titans. They've gone for him, $20 million a year to be their sort of wide receiver 1/2. But I thought $20 million a year. They've only got 38 million guaranteed, so it's not a lot of guaranteed, which I think is probably why it's quite safe. But I was surprised that he got $20 million a year. Didn't see him as a $20 million player, to be honest. What do you think?
No, I agree. He's actually got pretty good stats, hasn't he, from recently? But he's not like a game breaker, is he, or anything? This is the team, though. I did see this morning, I can't remember, one of the insiders said, watch out for the Titans today. So when you got money to spend, it reminds me of the Christian Kirk deal from about 3 years ago. Remember that? Where we was like, we don't mind him, but it's a little bit rich. But you kind of like the guaranteed money on it, though, right? It's not too high. And Cam Ward gets kind of a dependable receiver.
Yeah, I think I'm just surprised he's more of a slot only guy, isn't he? 20 million was aggressive, but you're right. Everyone said watch out for him. I didn't mention this in the Chiefs section, by the way, because it's not fully confirmed for some reason. There's some weird wording around it, but it looks like Travis Kelce's also re-signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. What is it? One year, 50 million a year, 50 million for the year. So definitely the hometown discount there if he's getting 1 year, 50 million. But yeah, it's not official. There's some weird wording around it, but he's still talking to other teams. So I'm not sure. That would be a strange one. We've got a live one. The New Orleans Saints have spent some more money. Ooh. David Edwards, guard of the Buffalo Bills, 4 years, 61 million. Yeah. to go to the New Orleans Saints to be their starting left guard. Any thoughts on that? Bill,
Yeah, I did see he was due for a nice pay rise this weekend. They're obviously Saints want to run the football in the NFC South. So there we go. Yeah, I quite like that for them.
Nice. The Raiders are spending more money. They just spent 3 years, $35 million on wide receiver Jalen Naylor from the Vikings to come over and your face says it all, including 23 million guaranteed. So Wan'Dale gets 28 million guaranteed on a 60 million deal, but for some reason Jalen Naylor's managed to bag himself 23 million guaranteed from the Raiders, and they've spent 100 million guaranteed in 20 minutes.
So now you look at the full picture of Wan'Dale Robinson, and that feels better. Right.
That does feel better.
Yeah, the Jalen Naylor. I mean, if I went through my sleeper now, I'd find him at the bottom of my wide receiver roster, absolutely everywhere. Yeah, it's an interesting. Raiders are just doing the thing of spending as much of their cash as possible, right, to try and just be immediately competitive, right? They've already got some pieces on offense, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, really, but yeah, I don't love Jalen Naylor, to be honest with you.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, do you love Isaiah Likely in general?
Oh, there we go.
Is he a player you like? Because he's signed in your division.
Has he?
Fortunately, he's not signed for you. He signed 4 years, $40 million deal with the New York Football Giants and reunited with John Harbaugh.
Of course he has. That's a good signing, though, for the Giants, to be honest. I thought that the Ravens should have extended Likely and let Andrews go to free agency, but they kind of done the opposite way around, haven't they? I think the Giants a great deal for New York on there.
Yeah, that is, 4 years. I think if he can play on the field, as in like injury wise, I think that's might actually look like a quite smart deal. But I haven't seen the guarantees on that. But yeah, 4 years always concerns me a little bit. But yeah, what about the Bears then? 3 years, $40 million for safety Kobe Bryant, so Super Bowl champion from the Seattle Seahawks, goes to the Bears. Probably means Jaquan Brisker, I'd imagine, is done in Chicago. You're probably not gonna spend money on another safety there. But Kobe Bryant, we spoke about him in the Super Bowl preview. We both quite liked him, and now he joins Ben Johnson in Chicago.
Yeah. Exodus from Seattle was enjoy your Super Bowl win, right? So it's the Bears are definitely the Bears were in for Max Crosby, weren't they? So I think the Chicago very kind of aggressive this offseason. I would expect them to look at making a trade, to be honest with you, before the draft. But that's a good addition, that, to the secondary.
Yeah, that was a good one. What about this addition to the secondary? Raiders keep spending. Eric Stokes has re-signed with the Raiders, 3 years, $30 million. So they had him on a 1 year, $2 million deal, and he's now bagged himself $10 million a year this year to stay with the Raiders. Feels like an aggressive price for Eric Stokes, but played pretty well for the Raiders last year, and I suppose they've got to keep some of their own players. Yeah, that's another 15. So we're up to 115 million guaranteed for the Raiders today so far. What do you think about Eric Stokes?
What I think is there's a lot of Raiders talk and there's not a lot of Philadelphia Eagles talk. I don't know if you're saving something up or there ain't a lot happening, to be honest with you.
I don't think we've got a signing for the Eagles yet.
You know, my favourite meme at NFL free agency time is that one with the stick and the rock, and it says, "Come on, do something," and it's just like people do it within like 2 hours.
No, I can confirm I've not missed anything. We're not at the point of an Eagles signing yet, I'm afraid. We've got another Chiefs signing. The Chiefs just signed defensive tackle Kyrie's Tonga from the Patriots on a 3 year, $21 million deal. Stuff the run, but I'm afraid we've got no Eagles news.
You look so happy about that as well.
I am so happy. You can play fullback. We've got more Jets. Let's stick with the Jets. We've got 2 signings. They've signed Joseph Osai from the Bengals for 3 years, $36 million. $12 million a year for Joseph Osai, which I think is relatively good. But they've also signed a player that we've actually spoken about before, Demario Davis from the Saints. 2 years, $22 million, which is quite aggressive for a 36-year-old backer, but he's a bit of a leader. So yeah, they've gone Demario Davis at linebacker, and then signed Joseph Osai on defensive ends. A couple of smart signs there from the Jets, but I guess they probably had to pay slightly over the odds just for who they are, I guess, right?
You've improved your defense, though, today, haven't you?
Yeah.
You spent a bit of money, but you got Minka as well. So you've improved your defense today.
And they've signed David Onyemata, as we've been recording, 1 year, $10 million. So they've added a defensive tackle now as well. So it's four defenders they've added in the space of 2 hours so far today.
I'm going to presume that they've not got a quarterback yet.
No quarterback yet. No. The only quarterback signed is Mitch Trubisky, who signed for Willis, and Mitch Trubisky who's decided to go to the Titans for 2 years to be Cam Ward's backup. But the rest we're kind of holding firm on as of now. But you never know. I'll update you as time goes on the
I
pod.
like that for the Jets, though. A little bit more competitive. Obviously, that's a man that needs to save his job, right? So
Yeah.
stiffening up the defense. So obviously, they're going to need to look at the offensive side of the ball, aren't they? But I like that on defense. Get some vets in.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. We'll keep the live pod. We'll keep the live updates coming. But let's switch gears then. Something everyone know has happened, and go back to the Max Crosby trade. 2 first-round picks to go to the Ravens. Personally, great haul for the Raiders. He is getting a bit older. Injuries did caught up with him last year. He was a very, very good player, but he wasn't a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. For 2 first-round picks, you need to be a Defensive Player of the Year. But he does really fit the Ravens culture. He plays the run well. His pressure rate is obviously amazing. We spoke about all last year how they struggled to get pressure for the quarterback. So I do think it's a good deal for the Raiders, and I think most people have been saying that. But what are your thoughts from the Ravens' perspective at this time? Is this the right moment to go in and spend those assets and get a player like him, or not?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they're picking higher in the first round than they would have anticipated and that they used to in the last 5 years, especially since Lamar was drafted. I find it interesting. Obviously, for me, I think it goes hand in hand with Harbaugh leaving and wanting to be back in the new era where they feel like, well, maybe this offseason Lamar can get healthy and we can take care of the offensive side of the ball, and we need a playmaker on the defensive side and to make us instant contenders in the AFC, because we're not expecting the AFC to be super weak again. Are we like this? You're going to need to load up. Last year was an anomaly, so I like it for both. I love it for the Raiders, to be honest with you. It's a pretty good, what they got now, 1-14 in the draft. You can knock that 14 pick out of the park and you're looking really good. So I like it. Like you said, I read something the other day about he has the best tackle for loss percentage in the run game. But then I thought to myself, well, the Raiders are always behind in football games in the whole of Crosby's career. So that could be a little bit of an inflation there. But I like it for both, to be honest. It's an exciting move as well, isn't it? Seeing kind of a star player move like that to an important team as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's got such a great attitude as well. I think for him as well, I know it's been a rival in my division, but he deserves a chance to play for a good team. He plays football the right way. He's a great character. Lamar Jackson's obviously very, very happy. I'll be interested to see what that limits in for agency, because you'd think that they probably won't spend big now, will they? I think they've already made one signing, which is John Simpson. Ironically, he used to play for them at guard, then went to play for the Jets. He's come back now in 3 years, $30 million. So they've got a guard there to help win the run game. But apart from that, they're kind of strapped a bit now for cash. But I think it's an aggressive move. But I do love it for the Raiders. Obviously aggressive, they've now gone and spent all the Crosby money elsewhere. But I think for their rebuild, it makes sense to get younger and try and become a bit of a better football team.
Don't mess up the 14th pick by going for some anomaly position like when they got Genty last year, just solid best player available, like pick, and then you'll be kind of looking good. But who knows?
The Raiders, maybe we'll see. Hopefully for them, they've changed, but we've seen some bad years. Let's go for left tackle news then. One of these, I don't know if the second part is, it just feels like it must be fake, but Trent Williams looks like he's probably going to be granted a trade. I know there was rumors about his contract 2 weeks ago, but that's kind of heated up now, and there's been quite a lot of tweets. Apparently the Kansas City Chiefs are his preferred destination, which I'm not quite sure about the salary on that, but there's been just more talk really that it looks like they're going to struggle to get a deal done and they're going to try and trade him. So Trent Williams might be on the block. And Larry Tunsil won't be on the block. He's just signed a 2-year, $60 million extension, $30 million per year to become one of the higher paid left tackles in the sports. Tunsil's kind of off the trade market. We've got a few left tackles available for agency. And then Trent Williams might be available to be traded. Feels like Trent Williams will only go to a good team. Can't imagine like a bad team wanting a 38-year-old left tackle. Do you think that if he gets dealt to a good team, that could be a big needle mover for one of these teams going after a Super Bowl?
Still playing at a high level, right? Mm-hmm. He's still playing with that same attitude that he has. So, yeah, really interesting. He wouldn't cost you much in a trade either, would he? So it was kind of probably a late round pick. But shame for the 49ers. Really, they can't kind of get that done. It's hard to know a direction with kind of San Francisco, isn't it, at the moment? Obviously, with their free agency and where they're heading, kind of an offense. Obviously, Ayuk is not going to play another snap there, is he? And they're looking pretty light in the offensive kind of weapons department.
Yeah, they are. Jawan Jennings obviously is a free agent as well.
Yeah, of course, Jennings.
Apparently Romeo Dobbs might be on their radar, but we'll see. Let's go to another team then. They've done three deals. We haven't spoken about them yet. Tampa Bay. They've re-signed Cade Otton. The details aren't confirmed, but it's a 3-year deal. They've signed Alex Anzalone from the Lions, 2 years, 17, player that we've liked on the pod. And they've actually also signed an ex-Eagle, Kenneth Gainwell, 2 years, 14 million to probably replace Rashad White, who's going to leave. So yeah, they haven't got loads of cap space, but they've got Anzalone, Cade Otton, Gainwell. They've obviously got Mike Evans still out there that they'll be trying to re-sign, but feels like 2 players on offense there and then a leader at linebacker on defense. Feels like 3 good signings for the Bucs, but they probably need a splash or 2, right, I think, to get themselves back in NFC contention.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really like Kenneth Gainwell. To be honest, I thought he was really good. He was Pittsburgh's best offensive weapon at times with Rodgers last season. So, yeah, it's good. I like Anzalone as well. He kind of fits that kind of Tampa Bay mold, doesn't he? But Todd Bowles under pressure this season. We've not spoken anything about kind of future proofing, have we? But that's a man under pressure, Todd Bowles. He needs Mike Evans back, by the way.
Yeah. What's your thought? I've got no news on that, so I'm not going to spoil make you talk about in 5 minutes and then go, wow, he signed for this team. What are your thoughts on Evans? Feels like if he leaves the Bucs, that's a bit of sort of a view on how he thinks the franchise is going, right? Because he's had so many chances to leave and he's always come back. Feels like if he leaves somewhere else to go win a Super Bowl, that's not ideal for the Bucs. But I can't see him going to a bad team. I think he'd just stay in Tampa Bay, wouldn't he, rather than go to a bad team?
I would be shocked if he went to a team whose standing was worse than Tampa Bay just for a couple of extra $1 million. I'm sure that he doesn't need that. He wants to win. He's an ultimate competitor, isn't he, Mike Evans? I think he leaves, to be honest with you. And I saw Baltimore, but I'm not quite sure whether they'd be rich enough for that. But maybe it'd just be a 1-year deal. But I don't know, it'd be an amazing signing in Baltimore. But I think he leaves. I think it's an exciting signing for someone still as well.
Yeah, me too. There was a tweet probably about 40 minutes ago, it says, saying that Mike Evans' agents have told the Bucs he's got a 1-year, $27 million deal from someone. Who knows if that's true or not. But if someone pays that much for him, I feel like that would probably be a bad team, which is why he hasn't signed it, because that's a lot of money. But feels like you have to pay in the 20s, right? And I think he's worth it. It's just, will he stay healthy for the season? But I'd like to see him on a contender.
Yeah, so would I. 1 year's 27. That's the Raiders. They're back on the market again.
That does feel a little bit Raidersy. Let's flip the script then. A couple more deals that you would have already seen because they happened before. I want to get your view. Leo Max re-signed with the Chargers, 1 year, $18 million deal. Obviously, they also signed Tyler Biadasz as center rather than going for Linderbaum, so they've gone for a cheaper option there. But yeah, Biadasz on one line, back on the defensive line. What are your thoughts for the Chargers?
Yeah, it makes sense for me for Khalil Mack as well. Obviously, he's coming to, I think he's about 36 now, is he, Khalil Mack? He's coming to like the tail end of his career. So I like that for them. Love the trenches. It's Harbaugh, isn't it? Loves the trenches. I'd like to see. I also saw, bringing it back to Mike Evans, a few things about the Chargers, which I think would be a lot of fun. Herbert and Mike Evans, but we'll see. That doesn't feel like a 1 year, $27 million. If it was, he would have already signed that.
Yeah. 100%, yeah. I'm honestly looking at the rumors. Sorry, like who's linked to him. And I don't know who could even afford 1 year 27, so it could be completely fake. Yeah, we'll see. I feel like he's going to go to a good team and it's going to be a player me and you are talking about as like a great signing. That's what I feel like for him. What else have we got? Trying to look at other news whilst we're here. Then we've covered all the big ones now.
Have we not had any Philadelphia Eagles out? Apart from Jalen Phillips.
Jalen Phillips, are you sad about Jalen Phillips? I don't think we've got a fair reaction there. I feel like you should be more sad about Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, I am sad. Yeah, but when you read the money out, I knew we weren't going to go to Philadelphia on that money. The Eagles, by the way, obviously we've not spoke about this at all. They're really up in the air. I mean, I did not expect to see that Jalen Carter was on the trade block. Obviously, AJ Brown, the thing's been going on a while. You'd expect maybe he moves on. But Jalen Carter was like a bit of a dagger to me as like an absolutely incredible player. But yes, if you're surplus, aren't you, in the NFL?
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I feel like he'll be a first-round pick as well, right?
It has to be a first round. I'll be absolutely beside myself.
Fine, wasn't he? He was, but excuse my French, he's a bit of a knobhead, so I'm not sure how much you'll get for him. But I think that'll be the issue. I think they'll trade him if they can't trade AJ Brown because they want more assets, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We got some breaking news. Player we just spoke about, Mike Evans. He's signed. Let's get the money. We've got 2 signings. He signed a 3-year deal. I haven't got the money. Unfortunately to you, it's a NFC rival.
Mike Evans, has he moved?
He's moved. San Francisco 49ers, Mike Evans. 3-year deal.
Really?
Yeah, absolute. I think he's got a big deal as well because all my group chats saying can't believe they paid that much for him. I don't know actually. Yeah, he's definitely signed for the 49ers, but I've got no update on how much that costs. But Kyle Shanahan's basically going to be replacing Juwan Jennings with Mike Evans, which is a pretty nice swap.
That is a swap. Wow, that has shocked me. I didn't expect the 49ers. That is a great signing for San Francisco.
That is a great signing. You'd imagine as well, 3 years, that it's going to be a 2-year deal with. People are all saying 3 years, he's really old, but I guarantee that 3rd year is just funny money to get the deal.
Yeah.
Mike Evans for 2 years, if you've got George Kittle, you've got CMC, you draft the wide receiver, I feel like that's good.
That's dangerous, isn't it? And all of a sudden, I thought it was weak a minute ago. Now you're opening up Ricky Pearsall. You've got Mike Evans on the outside.
Oh, true. Yeah, you can move him into the slot. That's a good champ. Good champ. The other one, I feel like I've completely overhyped this one after talking about Mike Evans, but Jamel Dean also from the Bucs. They've now lost their starting corner now and their starting wide receiver because he signed 3-year, $36.5 million deal with the Steelers. So the Steelers have added a wide receiver on one end, they've added a corner on the other. They got younger in the process, and the Bucs have just lost their starting corner one and their starting wide receiver one. I feel less good about the Bucs now in the last 5 minutes from our previous chat.
The Bucs, though, it's not just losing your wide receiver one, is it? It's kind of like your franchise player, really. It's your franchise player. It's like trading your captain or whatever. It's, shame for them. And if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm knocking on the GM's door and saying, what have you got up your sleeve? Because my job is up for grabs next season. So, that's what a signing for San Francisco, that is.
Mike Garafolo just tweeted 49ers were originally slated to pay $27 million to Ayuk, but they voided all his guarantees, obviously, because they didn't turn up. So they've just created $27 million in space. The money's been reallocated to Mike Evans, and Brock Purdy gets a big target that he wants. So you got Kittle, you got Purdy, CMC, Pearsall. Obviously, the fullback will still be there, and they'll probably target someone right in free agency or the draft as well. They're not going to re-sign Jennings now, but still.
Now you're talking about what you're doing at left tackle, though, now, aren't you? Because what you've just read out is a deep into the playoffs offensive set, isn't it?
True, but can they do a deal, I guess, in terms of, we just signed Mike Evans, can we convince you to stay? Do you know what I mean? If you're him, but yeah, we'll see. That's an interesting position for them to be in. I feel like they're going to be good next year, but we'll see. I also feel like the Cowboys are going to be good, but maybe I'm just picking all the teams that you hate to say that they're going to be.
They've been being good for 30 years, the Cowboys. I'm not worrying about that.
Good. I feel shocked there about Mike Evans.
That threw me. That I did not expect you. When you said NFC rival, I was going through my head. Really? New York Giants, can't see it. Washington. I was like, wow, 49ers. Great signing.
12 years he was at Tampa Bay, and now he's a San Francisco 49er, which is incredible news. They were obviously linked to Jennings to re-sign him, and they were linked to Romeo Doubs as well. Neither of those two wide receivers have signed anywhere. Let's get the positions open, the contracts open again. I'd be interested to see where you think these guys are going to fit. So we've got PS who signed 4 years, 114. Wandale, that 4 year, 70. We've just heard about a 3-year deal for Mike Evans. We don't know what it is. Naylor signed 3 years, 35. Now, Jennings, Dobbs, and Shaheed are all linked in that top 6 wide receivers. What sort of teams are we thinking about? I don't think Jennings, Dobbs, or Shaheed are going to go back to the teams they've just been at. So what are you thinking?
Well, not to bring it back to the AFC West, but I did see that Clint Kubiak would like a little reunion with his explosive Rashid Shaheed that he got to use. And that kind of makes sense for them. I thought Seattle would bring Shaheed back, to be honest with you, but it feels like they're just happy to move on straight away. Romeo Doubs is a really interesting one he's obviously going to kind of get a 3 or 4 year. I don't think he gets Wendell Robinson total, but I think he could touch the guarantees on there, don't you, for a Wendell, for a Romeo Dobbs?
Yeah, I feel like Dobbs will get more than Jennings, even though I'm not sure. Like maybe from like think about it selfishly from like my team, whatever. If you were a contender, I feel like Jennings short term might be a sort of safer bet to be like a wide receiver too. I think if you end up signing Dobbs, I think he thinks he's going to be like a wide receiver 1, even though he's not. But yeah, I think he might not touch the per year, but I think he'll probably beat the guarantees actually in Naylor. I think someone will feel more confidence pay Dobbs over 3 years more than Naylor over 3 years. I just don't think any of them will go back. I don't think Shaheed will go back. I don't think Dobbs will go back, and Jennings definitely won't go back right after that move. So I feel like we'll still have some interesting moves from wide receiver.
Yeah, there's still a lot of money to be spent there, isn't there? Even after the 3 big ones today. I'm really, obviously Mike Evans has surprised me, but going back to Alec Pierce, by the way, I really thought he would kind of move on, because obviously we've had the Pittman trade as well, haven't we, since we've been on. But yeah, Alec Pierce, what a contract year that was for him, by the way. What a year to have a big year.
Oh, 100%. I'm almost surprised. I'm not surprised at the total, because he got 27 a year, was it? Yeah, 27 a year. But I thought he'd go somewhere else as well. Yeah. That almost tells me that no one offered him that, because I feel like if anyone offered him more, he would just take the opportunity, whereas he must have had similar or less, and then he just said, well, I'll just stay with the Colts. But yeah, fair play to him. I never thought he'd get that payday if you asked me a year ago.
No, absolutely not, no.
We got another small deal. Well, it's not small because nothing in free agency in NFL is small. But the Bears have signed another player. So they've got their safety in Brian. They've also now got their linebacker. They've just signed Devin Bush, who was terrible 2 years ago, but had a great season last year. 3 years, $30 million, 10 per year, 21 guaranteed. It's a pretty hefty deal to sign him as their linebacker. So now they've got their starting linebacker. They've got their starting safety. They obviously haven't got a center yet, but that's, according to the beat writer, center's the next position. Feels like they've done okay there. Maybe they're shopping in the middle area of free agency, but I'm glad they're not doing the Bears and spending $100 million on an average player. But I quite like Bush as a signing and Brian, like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, I was just thinking Devin Bush versus Tremaine Edmonds, who's obviously out.
True.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I prefer Tremaine Edmonds. What another one like that Devin Bush there, picking a great year to have a good year, get yourself 21 million guaranteed is that's a job well done, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah, I agree. I wonder what they do on offense as well. The center position is,
because obviously they've traded DJ Moore since we last spoke.
True. We haven't spoke about that. Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. What are your thoughts? Obviously, second round pick. The general consensus is a great deal, obviously, for the Bears. And then the Bills have decided to fully guarantee his deal as well, costing themselves even more money. But yeah, what's your thought from that perspective? Because I think people were shocked they got second.
Yeah, I loved it for Chicago. People were going in. I know Bill Barnwell went straight in on Buffalo about that deal. But I guess kind of I understand it from their desperation of Brandon Beane's desperation for getting a guaranteed weapon and kind of spending a second and the guaranteed money on DJ Moore. How good is he? If you're getting the Carolina DJ Moore of a few years ago, great, but he wasn't amazing, by the way, in Chicago. He didn't have.
No, it wasn't good last season at times.
Not have an incredible rapport either with Caleb, who goes off-piste a lot, a little bit like Josh Allen does. So it was, interesting.
Yeah, agreed. I was surprised. Who was it? Oh, it was Rap. Did you see the Rap Sheet tweeted out? It was a mid-round pick.
Yeah.
And everyone was thinking fourth, and then it came out second. I know they sent a fifth back, didn't they? So that balances out as like a third. But yeah, I was surprised by that because I think he's a good player. I think when he first traded, me and you spoke about it, we quite liked it. But he's kind of proven at the Bears he isn't a wide receiver 1, right? And last year, they had so many issues with him. There was that play where he stopped in the middle of the game. Obviously, he stopped in the Hail Mary game. There was a play where he walked off when he shouldn't have. It was a bit of a weird position and maybe a bit of a strange situation. But the Bills have obviously got their wide receiver. But it feels like between that, paying the center, the fourth most guarantees at center, feels like the Bills have been a little bit desperate this offseason. Is that fair to say, or am I being a bit of a bias?
No. It's incredibly fair because you've got the GM, right? Beane is desperate now. You've got rid of a long-term head coach who has brought success, but not the ultimate success, alongside having Josh Allen. He's a man under pressure, to be honest with you. His leash is getting short. And there's only one thing that's going to satisfy the Pagulas or whatever. You've got to get to the Super Bowl, haven't you? I don't think there's a team or many people under more pressure than him and Allen coming into next season.
Yeah, it's fun to say that after somebody just got a promotion, but I think it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they've done the big move now. He obviously had a bit of a falling out with McDermott. They got rid of him, and now if that's it, and they struggle again this year to win a playoff game or get to Super Bowl, feels like the buck stops then for the GM.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. No other breaking news as we record. Let's look at available guys, and then we'll see if there's any more news. So we've got the Athletics list up here. So we've got Trey Hendrickson and Devin Lloyd, who are in the top 5. Daniel Jones in there as well, but no one's probably gonna match that. The rest of the top 10 are done really. So it's just Devin Lloyd and Trey Hendrickson. And outside of the top 10, we've got Odafe Oweh, we've got the 2 left tackles, Rashid Walker and Jermaine Illuminor. And then there's just been a tweet that John Franklin Myers is in discussion with multiple teams and expecting to get a huge payday.
Yeah.
As teams are after his services. But any thoughts on any of those players? So you've got the 2 tackles, we've got Franklin Myers, obviously got Odafe Oweh, who's not signed yet, and then you've got the big 2, Trey Hendrickson and Devin Lloyd, who I'd expect to get big paydays.
A defensive line is going to get big money in it in this next probably 24 hours. I expect Oweh to get a big deal as well, but I think Franklin Myers is going to get a monster deal, isn't he? That makes that defense, by the way, in Denver quite a bit weaker. He's an exceptional player up front, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll be wondering if they'll try and spend some money to keep him. Maybe if they've missed out on running back, maybe they get more aggressive. What's your thoughts on Trey Hendrickson? Cowboys were rumored before free agency started. Then there was a tweet that he's out of their price range after the Gary trade, and they think he's been a bit unrealistic. And then obviously he hasn't signed anywhere. I think people thought he would come off the board early. What sort of money and sort of team are we thinking for Trey Hendrickson? Is he going to cash in at a bad team for a crazy deal, or are we talking 2 years Von Miller style to go try and win a Super Bowl?
It's so funny, isn't it? Because this is what he has wanted for the last 2 years, and he's got this position. And yeah, I always thought it was going to be Dallas, to be honest. They perhaps done a smart thing there in kind of backing off if it's too rich. I think he ends up going to a bad team on a big deal. You cash in. You do what Myles Garrett cashed in, and it's just your bank account will make you happy instead of your Super Bowl rings. And maybe you get a late round trade somewhere in the future to go to a contender. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because this is what he's been desperate for. And obviously the Bengals have been kind of derided for it the last couple of years, and you're not trading him and everything. He's not flying off the board, is he?
No, not yet. I wonder if he's been picky or not, or if the market's just not as much there for him. But we'll see. What about Devin Lloyd? I think the Panthers were rumored, but then they've spent a lot of money there on Jalen Phillips, right? So it feels aggressive to go and then make Devin Lloyd the highest paid linebacker. Is he the sort of player that if you were a team with cap space, you'd be going out and spending money on Devin Lloyd, or will you be waiting to the draft with a pretty good set of linebackers coming up next month?
Yeah, or not to bring it back to my team, Nakobe Dean is also an unrestricted free agent, and I think you could get him cheaper and for a very, very similar level of production than Devin Lloyd. So that would be my thinking on that. Obviously, I mean, the Eagles paid a lot of money for Zach Bourne, so you can get playmakers in that position and make it work, can't you, on defense? But yeah, you have to be careful spending that on.
Agreed. Nakobe Dean's still available, by the way. One Eagle that's not, tiny deal. Jahan Dotson just signed 2 years, $50 million deal with the Falcons. Gets $8 million in his first year, which is quite aggressive for the Falcons. But yeah, another Eagle off the board, mate. But you got no signings, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's their Darnell Mooney replacement, isn't it? There, Jahan Dotson. That kind of makes sense. So it's a slow one for Philadelphia. By the way, on the sad terms, I think it's going to be Dallas Goedert and Nakobe Dean. When they leave, if they leave on free agency, that'll be the sad one. Phillips, obviously, great player, but wasn't drafted by the Eagles.
No, very true. We've got Mike Evans' deal, by the way. 3 years, 60. So 20 a year, he basically got the same as Wandell. I feel like that's a good deal.
Why is that not a good deal?
Yeah.
You're guaranteeing yourself production. If you can get Mike Evans healthy, or get him away from the power station or wherever that they train at, and then... feels a good deal. That's the best signing today for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great deal. That's a great deal. Cool. I think we followed a lot of the main news there. We've obviously had huge news around Trent McDuffie, huge news around Max Crosby. We've had some huge signings that we've spoken about with the Linderbaum deal, Mike Evans deal, Kenneth Walker, my guy, Alec Pierce. Two again cut. What more could we want? We mentioned Mike Evans as your favorite deal, and it's probably the most surprising. What other deal was the most surprising we've spoken about? To kind of wrap us up. What did you hear where you were like, wow, that's a lot, or wow, that's a surprise?
Taking Alec Pierce away, because we brought that back up, we've got to go back to the first one. After I gave you my montage on tour, then you spilled the beans that they'd signed Malik Willis. That honestly really did surprise me. I thought Miami were going to play it smart, and they've just been bad for a season. Let's be bad again, but worse, and then bounce back better. But I don't want to win seven games with Malik Willis, to be honest. I don't want to, but they've paid it now, haven't they? That is a deal, I'm telling you right now, in 12 months' time, they're looking to get out of.
He got 45 million guaranteed, by the way. I've just checked. Didn't have the guarantees. So he got 67.5, but 45 guaranteed. Obviously, most of that's going to be in the first 2 years. So 99 dead for Tua, and then 45 basically dead for Malik if you cut him. Almost.
I'll tell you what, though, he has leveraged a couple of Jordan Love injuries into a deal there, hasn't he?
He's done very well. What's he got? 5 starts? Isn't it 5 starts?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a crazy deal, that is. Trying to see what else we got. I think that's it. There's plenty of other tiny deals, but nothing I think that is worth us talking about.
That's wave 1 over then, isn't it?
Wave 1 for our pod, yeah. We're only what, 2 hours 50 minutes in. So I'd say we're probably going to be getting pinged on our phones probably till what, 10, 11 o'clock at night our time, and then it'll start to slow down. Any other free agents that we haven't spoken about that you're interested in where they go? We've just spoken about some of the big boys, but any other names that really interest you? Obviously, I've got the wide receivers that I'm interested in, but I do really want to see where Boye Mafe goes. I think that's an edge that I'm interested in. And then Oweh, obviously. But are there any other players that you're intrigued?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound like you, but I'm all about the quarterbacks. Obviously, there's some bridge starting quarterbacks available, right? Someone is going to get an excellent backup in I know Gino was terrible last season, but I'd have him in a franchise. If I was a bad franchise, I'd have him there a year. And obviously, now we're talking about somebody else who's had a huge deal a few years back, and Kyler Murray. Obviously it looks like, it's going to be Minnesota, but that is a big name, by the way, to be bandying around free agency, and no one really is talking that much about him.
It's a big name as well when it's going to cost you like $1 million.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, because of the contract. Yeah, I was looking at the available. So you've still got Daniel Jones, because even though he's got tagged, a team can still offer him a deal, and the Colts have to match it if they want to keep him. That's the transition tag. You've got Kyler Murray. You've also got Aaron Rodgers, who might go back to the Steelers, might not. Kirk Cousins is available, who played relatively well down the stretch. And then you've got the old boys, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, all the classics. But there's a couple of players there with Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray that in theory could still change teams and would probably start for some NFL teams. So I think that's interesting.
And some teams who need a starting quarterback, of course. I mean, the New York Jets is going to be one. Arizona is going to be one, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think the Vikings almost even more important. I wonder who will go with the Cardinals. Cardinals are starting to feel like a bit of a Geno team, actually, to be honest, because they obviously can't re-sign their own guy in Kyler Murray, so they're probably going to have to go to they're probably going to have to go there. But yeah, Kyler Murray, I reckon we might get him today. I feel like we're going to get Kyler Murray on day one at some point today. What's your wish list then for the Eagles? Let's sign us off. You're a bit sad. You got no signings. What's the wish list? Keep Jalen Carter. Keep AJ Brown in some way, and then what position do you need to sign?
I'm not sure, to be honest, what's going to happen. It feels, I think Rappaport this morning and a couple, Josina Anderson, was saying expect a little bit of chaos when it comes down to Philadelphia. I do not. I would rather lose. Well, it's just controversial. I would rather lose AJ Brown than I would Jalen Carter, but it's a hell of a lot of money when you've got Cooper DeJean to sign, you've got Kenyon Mitchell to sign. The book has to stop somewhere. A Jomo they really like is going to need re-signing. Yeah, it's looks like the Eagles are going to need some defensive reinforcements or going to be back to winning 10 games all season. I'm just not used to that kind of work, to be honest.
Well, we'll see. They need a tight end.
They need a weapon, by the
They
way.
need a tight end, don't they, as well?
Need a tight end. I think Dallas Goedert may come back one more year, but we'll see. And Joku, by the way, is one of my favourite free agents. I'm really excited to see where he goes.
Yeah, and Joku's a good shout. Chiga Kwanku as well as a free agent. But there's not a lot else out there at tight end because K. Dotton's signed, Troutman's signed, Austin Hooper's signed, Higbee's signed, Likely signed. Kelsey, for some reason, was signed, then wasn't signed, which I'm not going to try and have a panic attack on the podcast about that. But there's not many options.
If he ended up in Philadelphia, he'd be furious. I'd be straight on getting that jersey.
For his brother. Like if you give Goddard a 1 year deal and then try and draft Kenyon Sadiq or something, feels like a very Eagles move, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we'll see. Cool. One final check then. Any breaking news whilst we're on? No, not that we can see any. So you know what happened. We'll turn the recording off and then, of course, it will happen. Patriots have shown interest in Romeo Dobbs, but no signing yet. But we'll see. But yeah, we'll wrap it there for now. We'll recap any other deals next time we speak. I'm sure we'll spend a bit more time on some of these big ones once Patrick's had some more time to digest rather than me throwing a million deals at him. I decided not to pretend there was a signing or a Jalen Carter trade, which I probably could have convinced him of. But that's it for today. We're going to come back later in the week once we know how many more deals there are to recap some more of them. And then next week we'll do another breakdown as we get into wave 2. You can go follow us at Go2Pod on Twitter /X. You can go follow Patrick as well at MugsNFL to get your Jalen Carter Patriots jersey or wherever he ends up going. Thanks everyone for listening. Enjoy free agency, and we will speak to you guys soon.